Here's something nobody tells you before you retire. The moment you hand in your badge, smile for the farewell photo, and walk out those doors for the last time, the advice starts. And it comes from everywhere. Your kids, your neighbors, your doctor, the magazine in the waiting room, even the well-meaning stranger at your mailbox. And the advice is almost always some version of the same thing: get out there. Stay busy. Join a club. Volunteer. Take a class. Fill up that calendar. As if retirement is a problem to be solved by scheduling enough things into it. But what if that advice that is repeated so often and so confidently that it starts to sound like medical fact, what if it's actually only designed for about half the population? What if you are someone who finds that being busy all the time doesn't energize you, it exhausts you? What if your idea of a genuinely good day looks nothing like what the magazines and the morning shows tell you it should look like? Well, today we are going to talk about that. We are going to talk about what retirement actually looks like when you are an introvert. And I want to say right at the start that this is not a conversation about being antisocial, or being depressed, or having something wrong with you. This is a conversation about being wired a certain way, and finally, having the freedom to live according to that wiring. So let's start here. If you have spent most of your adult life in the working world, going to the meetings, attending the office birthday parties, making small talk in the break room, performing the social rituals that every workplace requires, then you already know what it feels like to spend decades doing something that doesn't come naturally to you. For introverts, the workplace isn't just a job. It's a daily performance. And for 40 years, you showed up and you performed. You did it well. But it cost you something. It cost you energy. And you probably spent a good portion of your evenings and your weekends quietly recovering from it. Retirement, then, is actually a profound moment for an introvert. Because for perhaps the first time in your adult life, no one is requiring you to perform. There is no mandatory staff meeting, no office happy hour with unspoken attendance expectations, no colleagues stopping by your desk every 20 minutes to chat. The forced social interaction that structured so much of your life is simply gone. And for an introvert, that is not a loss. That is a gift. But here is where it gets complicated. The people who love you, the friends who visit, the children who call, they are often measuring your well-being by their own standards. And for many of them, the standard is extroverted. They want to see you out and about. They want to hear that you have plans, that you are meeting people, that your week is full. When they hear that you spent Tuesday morning reading and Tuesday afternoon in the garden, they get a little worried. They lean in and ask if you are okay. They start forwarding you brochures for senior activity centers and golf leagues. And while they mean every bit of it with love, the message underneath can feel like this: the way you are choosing to live your retirement is wrong. And that message, when it comes from people you care about, has a way of getting inside your head. You start to wonder if maybe they are right. Maybe you should be doing more. Maybe wanting quiet really is a problem. Maybe there is something broken in you that needs fixing. I want to stop right there and say something clearly. There is nothing broken in you. Wanting solitude is not a symptom. For introverts, solitude isn't loneliness. It is actually the opposite of loneliness. It is where you go to feel like yourself again, and this is worth sitting with for a moment, because there is a real and important difference between being alone and being lonely. Being alone is a physical state. It simply means you are by yourself. Being lonely is an emotional state. It means you feel disconnected, unseen, or longing for something you don't have. An introvert who is curled up with a good book on a rainy afternoon is not lonely. They are, in many cases, in a state close to contentment. The introvert who is sitting at a crowded community event, smiling politely, counting the minutes until they can leave, that person may feel far more lonely in a room full of people than they ever do at home by themselves. Now, I do want to be honest with you about something, because this channel has always been a place for honest conversations. There is a version of introversion in retirement that can become genuinely unhealthy. There is a difference between choosing solitude because it fills you up, and avoiding people because it has simply become easier to stay in. One is a lifestyle. The other is a slow drift. If you notice that weeks are going by and you haven't spoken to a single person you care about, if you find yourself declining things not because you genuinely want quiet but because anxiety or low energy makes going out feel impossible, that is worth paying attention to. A quiet life and an isolated life are not the same thing, and knowing the difference matters. But for most introverts, that slippery slope is not the real danger. The real danger is spending retirement trying to be someone you are not because the culture around you keeps insisting that an active social calendar equals a fulfilling life. The real danger is performing extroversion in retirement the same way you performed it at work and never actually giving yourself permission to rest into who you genuinely are. So let's talk about what a genuinely good retirement can look like for someone like you. And let me offer 4 ideas that are less about what you should do and more about how you can think about this. The first is to design your retirement around your energy, not around your calendar. The traditional retirement advice is calendar-based. Fill up the week. Stay scheduled. But introverts are energy-based people. The real question isn't how many things are on your list, it's how you feel at the end of the day. A perfect day for you might be gardening in the morning, a long lunch by yourself with a book, and a phone call with one person you truly love in the afternoon. That is not an empty day. That is a day that was designed for the way you actually work. Stop measuring success by how many activities you have checked off and start measuring it by how you feel when you put your head on the pillow. The second idea is quality over quantity in every area of your social life. You do not need many friendships. You need real ones. For introverts, 2 or 3 deep, meaningful relationships are worth more than a wide social network of surface-level acquaintances. So be intentional. Identify the people who genuinely fill you up, the ones you can talk to for hours, the ones who don't require you to perform, and invest in those relationships. And for activities, the same principle applies. You don't need a packed schedule of clubs and classes. You need 1 or 2 things that genuinely light you up. A writing group. A long weekly walk with one good friend. A volunteer role that connects you with a purpose you care about. Choose those things. And then, without guilt, say no to the rest. Saying no to what doesn't fit you is not being antisocial. It is being honest. Third, have the conversation with the people who love you. This one takes some courage, but it is worth it. The next time someone in your life expresses worry about your quiet lifestyle, instead of getting defensive or simply reassuring them that you are fine, try explaining it. Tell them that you are not depressed and you are not lonely. Tell them that you are wired differently, that you have always been someone who recharges in quiet, and that retirement is the first time in your adult life you have been able to fully honor that. Help them understand that for you, a slow Tuesday alone in the garden is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is finally right. Most people, when they truly understand the difference between introversion and isolation, will shift from worry to something closer to respect. And the fourth idea is the one that I think matters most of all, so I want you to really hear this. After decades of showing up for a world that was largely built for extroverts, the open-plan offices, the networking events, the team-building exercises, the relentless expectation of being on, after all of that, you have earned something. You have earned the right to stop performing. Retirement is not just a financial transition. It is a permission slip. It is permission to stop measuring yourself by someone else's standards. It is permission to let a quiet morning be enough. It is permission to say that a day spent thinking and reading and walking and sitting in your own peaceful company is a day well lived. Not despite the fact that it looks quiet from the outside, but because of it. The world has spent a long time telling introverts that they need to come out of their shell. But what if the shell was never the problem? What if the shell is actually just home? Retirement, for an introvert, can be the most liberating chapter of your life. Not because you suddenly become someone who loves cocktail parties and group tours, but because you finally, truly, get to stop pretending that you do. So if this is you, if you have been feeling quietly guilty about how much you love your slow, simple, solitary days, I hope this gave you something. Not just permission, but company. Because you are not alone in wanting to be alone. And there is nothing in the world wrong with that. Are you an introvert in retirement? What does a genuinely good day look like for you? Let's talk about it down below. And if you know someone who needed to hear this today, please share it with them. I'll see you in the next one.